Hey, we're live.
Uh, uh, okay, so hi everyone, and welcome to the Dance of Soul. We just had we had to flip things around, and you know, um, just got a text here now. So what ended up? Oh shoot, it's still saying that Facebook is not having us, but I don't know what's going on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go on live with my Facebook, but then it's like, um, da, 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 da. Save changes. So we're gonna have to maybe it's now live. I'm gonna check and see. So
Okay.
I'm gonna check and see if Veronica can see us. Can you see us, wonderful one? Because we're all having these moments where I swear Mercury's still in retrograde here. So thank you very much for putting up with us so that we can be here. And I don't know why things were the way they were, but Facebook, my StreamYard said that Facebook wasn't getting us. And I didn't see us live. So I am going to check and see if we are live now.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Okay, she says no. Oh, bummer. Okay,
So
I
we're just
don't
live
know
on
what
YouTube.
what?
We're just live on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so. So go to YouTube and I'll make a message on Facebook. Okay, so we are here on the Dance of the Soul, trying to do our better as StreamYard is saying it's not connected with Facebook, and I can't find anywhere that it's not connected. So it must be on Facebook's side. So I'm going to make a post here on Facebook to say that I am
Find
live.
us on YouTube.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I'll check and see. Sorry we're having problems on Facebook. Please go to YouTube channel Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications. Okay. So with this, back view. So, Regan, if you want to talk a little bit here, because we're going to be dead space.
Right?
And you know how dead space is here.
Yeah, 2 years. We're bound to have this happen once in a while. The way
Uh,
technology is, but isn't it great though? This the way we can communicate nowadays. I mean, compared to 10, 20, 30 years ago. I would have never even thought this was possible when I was in my teens or something. That was right when microwaves were coming out and big screen TVs. And actually, big screen TVs, these thin ones didn't come out until I was to about 20. Gosh, they've been out about 20 years ago already now. Uh, as I remember when I was moving to Los Angeles to become an actor, which I did for 12 years. Um, I had a little money left, and I bought the biggest screen that I could get for my loft downtown LA. It was 32 inches, and it was this huge monster of a TV and 32 inches, you know, and boy, that was right on I was, talk about life and everything. It's interesting how everything seems to have a time when it becomes obsolete.
mhm.
Even us humans in a way, or our generations, um, and how um, I don't know. This last week, I've just seeing a lot of things that like even CDs now. Like I have a CD I produced and got a royalty check the other day for $90 or something, and it was my songs were played 22,000 times on iHeartRadio, one of their
Mhm.
channels,
Yeah.
and 22,000 times people listen to my songs. I got $90, you know. So it's like it's way different, So things are just changing so much that creates our topic today. When things change, fear comes up a lot of times, in our life. A new job or new technology comes in and your job becomes obsolete. you
Mhm.
know, and you can't just quit working. You have to find some way of finding something else to do, changing careers, uh, and that sort of thing. And boy, it's when fear is the greatest is right at that very moment when you find out, you know, and that's when your mind quickly goes to, I can't do this. There's no way out of this, and the fear goes way over. I was listening to my favorite talk show radio station here in San Francisco, um, when I was heading to the airport to pick up somebody this week in the morning, and this thing has been on since this. I guess it's been 60 years. It's been on the air, and it's a more liberal talk radio. Where
Mhm.
that kind of thing. And all of a sudden, it just the person went right off the air, and they started playing a bunch of different songs and everything. So throughout the day, I kept checking in, and it kept being this repeat of a bunch of songs. And I thought, wow, maybe their power went down, or maybe there was an attack on their radio station or something weird, because it just kind of went off the air. And then I read a few days later that their parent network didn't tell anybody at this talk radio station anything was going on. Just right in the middle of a guy's show, they clicked it off and said, okay, on in a few days we're going to announce our new format. So all those people that were there, that had been there, and the huge listener base they have here in San Francisco, they just cut off. They didn't tell anybody anything, So I can just imagine those people that were ready to do their shows that they've been doing for 10 or 20 years over there. And also they come into work and they say, sorry, you're fired, you know.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that I heard from someone uh, who used to do, like, TV. Hi, Veronica. Thank you for coming over to Facebook, or to YouTube here. I don't know what's going on, but something is going on, and I'll do the research. I just didn't have time in the middle of trying to do the show. So thank you, everyone, for coming over. Hi, Kate. Welcome to the show. And we had a little flubble at the very beginning, so that it was kind of difficult to get us going. Facebook said that we couldn't be shown there, so we're here now. So thank you all for coming to YouTube
Yeah,
to
yeah.
watch us.
Let me ask you again, since you're the technical wizard on this, Natasha,
Yeah,
uh,
not.
on, on people on watching this on Facebook now, that they're not able to interact with this,
No,
like
actually, I don't think that Facebook was even doing live. Um,
what I mean is normally when we're there, because I was thinking it was only YouTube, where like when Veronica or Kate type something in, are they doing it from YouTube or are they doing it from Facebook?
they're usually doing it from Facebook.
Oh, okay. Because so people can interact with this on YouTube and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So now, hi Patty, and Kate, and yeah, it's interesting place to be, when technology doesn't work. So we're taking a few minutes to get into the show, and we apologize here, because we had this big flubble of technology situation. So we had to start a whole new link, and I'll do all the background stuff afterwards and stuff like that. So with that we were going to be talking about willingness here, and the willingness. Thank you, Sue, for posting on Facebook the link to the show. I appreciate you so much. I love how you just kind of do the things that I don't even ask you to do, and you're a gift to me. All of you are, so thank you. But it's one of those things that as we go forward, the willingness, and this was, I love how the universe actually shows um, uh, that this shows the universe actually creates an action to show how can we be willing. Like for me, I could have, my old Natasha would have been like, holy crap, what just happened, we're going to have to cancel the whole show, and I would have sat here in victimhood. That
yeah.
would have been my 10-15 year old Natasha, 10-15 years ago. Now, Natasha just says, you know what? I can't get back in the live show, what was supposed to be. And so I'm just going to create a new link. I send a new link to Regan,
Yeah.
and boom, 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 all within just a few minutes. And no, there's not a description on the show, but I had to put a little bit of a description on the show just for the logistics. So it took me a little longer, but thank you everyone for supporting us and being here. So the willingness to go through, because fear can take us over. And sorry, Regan, I spoke over you, but Regan Forsten, a hypnotherapist, and I, Natasha Venter, a psychic medium, we're not always, great at doing other things. And like I did a video about, because the mantra this week is I'm asking my fear to step aside. So that's the mantra of the week this week is
I
I'm
fear
asking
aside.
to step aside. And what it is that a lot of times fear stands in front of us and says us to stop. But I'm asking it to step aside so it can still be a witness of what we're doing, what I'm doing, and energetically it helps the fear to say, "Oh yeah, I can actually do it," right? But when we have that fear, it's that willingness to step through, to go forward into this new knowing of ourselves, this new opportunity for ourselves to, oh, what's the word? To become our better self.
Yeah, I have
You know,
a good example of that. Patty and I went to a seminar with oh my god, trying to think of him now. The big guru guy, big tall, he owns a island in the Bahamas. Uh, best
Tony, is it
Tony
Tony?
Robbins. Tony
To,
Robbins.
uh-huh.
There you go. And there was about 9,000 people there, and it was I was a little bit like, oh my gosh, here's this guy. I'd seen him on and off in my life a little bit. I think I read one of his books like 20 years ago or something, but I was not overly impressed. But Patty was going. She got a ticket for me to go, so I went with her, and it was really cool to be in an auditorium with 9,000 people that were there to try to get through their fears, to try to become better than they were. And one of the things we had to do on night, I think this was a 2 or 3 day thing, but maybe it was 3 or 4 days. But anyway, towards the end of the thing, we all had the opportunity to walk on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And, my first reaction to that was, that's stupid. No way am I going to do something like that. But then I got to thinking, I thought, well, when I learned more about it, that about 1 million people had done this with him so far. And I thought, well, if everybody was dying or something, we would have heard of that. So I went online a little bit there, and it showed that I think one of the things they had a few people got burned kind of bad. And, but that one, I thought, well, that's a few thing out of 1 million. That's not bad. And Patty, she's just fearless, she just, yeah, we're doing it, and I go, okay. So I'm having to think, am I gonna be the weak link here when here my wife is just gung ho for doing this? And so it was a little bit of I had to adjust myself a little bit, and I thought, well, if she's going to do it, I certainly have to do it. So about 11 o'clock at night, well, about 10 o'clock at night, I didn't realize at the time, but he put us in a hypnotic trance by with the 9,000 people there, just really, was showing this great videos on there, and it was like, you can, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then right from there, as he got everybody all riled up, then we went across the street to the University of it's in downtown Los Angeles, and whatever the university is, there's a major.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and so what it turned out is about 6 of the 9,000 did it, and so we had these big long lines, and we were getting closer and closer, and I see these hot coals, but then I'm watching, the people in front. They were going through, and I watched as they got off on the other side, and they were okay. They were okay. So, I got to see a lot of people in front of me that were successful. So that took most of my fear away. So, when it was my turn, I just, boom, just did it. And they say, just don't stop. Just walk, not too fast because you could fall down and get burned, but just walk at a steady pace, through to the other side. It was about 25 feet or something. We had to do it, which is pretty far. But it was one of those things that when I was done, I just felt really good inside. I
Mm-hmm.
said, my gosh, I did something which a lot of people would think is crazy that you can't do, but I overcame that fear. So now if someone said, hey, you want to walk on hot coals this Saturday? I go, sure, let's go do it,
Mm-hmm.
because you know that you can do it. um, so,
But that's the thing is that as we're going through something, that a lot of times old habits, like I was saying that the old Natasha, well, the young Natasha, but it was 15 years ago, older Natasha, that, she stood in victimhood a lot.
Yeah.
She stood in this victimhood, and as I've grown and matured, and my husband got sober and life got, when I was in victimhood a lot, it was because life was feeling like it was pushing me down a lot, that I wasn't able to get myself upright. And when I kept having to deal with an angry husband, and jobs, and house responsibilities, and a depressed kid, and then a kid who just basically said, go deal with life, mom, I'm okay. It's like you go through life and manage things that you don't realize how things sneak up on you. You don't realize how things kind of trigger you, and the willingness to step forward. And I had someone who asked me the other day, hey, I have this job interview or this job opportunity to pop up, and I don't know where it came from, and yet I'm not really qualified for it. And I said, really? You're not qualified for it? Have you even looked at what the job is? Have you interviewed for the job to even know what it curtails? You can always say no. Oh, I'm sorry for wasting your time. I really wanted to look at what this job was about, but now that I'm talking to you, I can see that I would not be a good fit for you, and you're not a good, and vice versa. And but the willingness to say, oh, I have a job interview, but fear, I'm not good enough for it. I don't qualify for it. I don't know if I really want it. But who's to say that the universe offered you something, gave you an idea to look at it? And if you're willing to move with it and step fear aside, many a times we can do that. Like for me, I would so be willing to walk on coals like that, fiery coals. No problem. Have me jump out of an airplane? Hell freaking no.
That's,
I'm not doing it.
like I
But
say, my
that's not a
daughter.
fear that's going to change. I mean, I know it would change my life. I know that fear would change my life. I get that. No,
Yeah.
no, I'm not. I'll fly in an airplane. I'm not jumping out of an airplane. It's just not something I'm called for. It
Yeah.
triggers too many past lives for me. And there's that dance of what is a logistic fear, and willingness to do it, and what is a fear that really
Yeah.
can be manageable. Like jumping in and out of an airplane, there's no out. There is no out. You cannot, you can say no when you're at the doorway, but really once you go, you can't get out. Where with a job interview, you have an out.
Yeah.
You know, hi Bev.
The
We
fears that we have, just because you have a fear doesn't mean you have to overcome it. Sometimes that fear is just telling you, no, that's not something for you or something you should do. But there's a lot
exactly.
of the fears we have, we know we really wish we could overcome it, and skydiving, like I mentioned a few weeks ago, my daughter, Candace, said on her next birthday in March, she's asked me to go skydiving with her because she's going to go. Her husband's taking her skydiving because it's something she wanted to do when she was 18 or 19. We were supposed to go together, and she ended up getting pregnant, and getting married and getting pregnant, and so we weren't able to go skydiving. So now she's in her 30s, and her husband says, "Okay, if you want to do it," and so I have to decide. I think I might do it just because it's just it's a little, it's on my small bucket list. You
No, no, it's
know,
not even on my even list of wannabes. So, for those that are watching, guess what? Facebook decided to let us be live, so I guess we're live on Facebook
all
because
right.
Bev is watching us from Facebook. So,
Okay.
welcome and thank you, Bev, for confirming that, because we had
Thanks,
where
Matt.
it didn't want to come through on Facebook, and so it was a big flubble at the beginning of the show. But there again is persevering through the scenario and knowing, like I've told people lately that, what is right now is not what's going to be. And so many of us get that reactionary fear, and we don't, when we're not willing to do it because it's something that we just don't want to do. Now, for me, I have asked myself many times in my life would you be willing to jump out of an airplane? Now, I can say maybe when I'm 80 years old and I finally say, "What the hell?" I might, but up to this point,
Yeah.
nope, not again, not going to, like Veronica says, not gonna jump out of not gonna jump out of an airplane either with an
Well,
exclamation point.
a great,
So, it's one of those things.
yeah. I think a good thing of advice I give people is when fear jumps in, most of the time it's when we're shocked by something. It's the initial reaction to a big change happening, like you get a pink slip at work and you weren't even thinking that, you just, you thought your job was going to be just fine. And then all of a sudden, wow, a corporate takeover or something, get a pink slip, says, grab your things, you're, be gone in an hour from now, we'll help you out of the building. And that's happened to so many people. Well, fear is usually well, anger, which comes out, by having the fear, but usually there's that fearful thing. It's like, what am I going to do now? How am I going to tell my wife? How am I going to feed my family? I'm going to lose my house, blah, blah, blah. But what I have found when those things have happened in my life is
Mhm,
you got to tell yourself that initial fear, just go ahead and have that initial fear. But behind that, tell yourself that tomorrow, a week from now, it's that fear is not going to be so bad because you're going to get over the initial shock. You know, it's always a shock at first, but just let that just realize that feeling you're feeling at this time, all those horrible things that are going to happen are more than likely not even going to happen, but you're
mhm,
feeling that fear. Um, and just know it's going to take maybe a few days for that, fear to kind of subside a bit, and then you can start getting to work on moving forward.
mhm.
You know,
Yeah, because we're not talking about like fear of, there's so many people that are, let's say, they're making life decisions to be here. Some people have cancer, some people have, scenarios going on, and there is logistic fear that it's hard to step it aside. What we're talking about here is the day-to-day life, the day-to-day scenarios. Like today when I was at my morning job, that I had a couple of people who kids who said, I'm feeling anxiety today because today is, oh my gosh, today the energy out there was, I don't know if you felt it down in California, but here in Washington, it was a ride of emotions, struggles, a lot of anxieties, and that kind of stuff. And there was a couple kids in line saying, "Yeah, I'm having problems with anxiety right now. I can tell my heart's beating fast, my stomach is going, taking a pit mark." And I said, "The best thing you could do when you have anxiety is breathe and keep walking forward. You know,
yeah,
just breathe and keep walking forward." Because what they were doing is they were walking in line to get lunch, and so if they kept walking forward, they would get the normal routine, get their lunch, sit down at their lunch table. By the time they would sit down, their mind would be on something else, and then that anxiety would go. And that's the thing is that when we're in fear and when we're in anxieties and we're in this, our mind starts rolling around, circling around with that scenario, and we gotta stop it somehow. And that's what I liked about using these mantras for.
yeah,
It's one of those things that going forward is not always easy. Yet, what can we do about it?
yeah,
What can we truly do about it?
yeah. Well, in the spiritual work that I do through the Newton Institute, where people are put in trance, and then they're able to expand their awareness to the afterlife, and they see things like you see, Natasha, in their mind. They come
Mhm,
face to face with people that are passed on, and uh, when they go before the count, there's always a council there, wise. It's like wise life coaches up there, beautiful beings, and you can ask them questions and everything. And a lot of my clients have a lot of fear in their life about what they're between jobs or between relationships, and they're afraid they're never going to find anybody again to love, or they're afraid that they will never find a new job, or they're in a job that they don't like and they want to move on, but they have the fear, like, how am I going to do that, even though I want to quit my job, kind of thing. And what we find out from people when they visit the other side, though, is that a lot of them planned a lot of this in their life that they were going to go through. They were going to go through challenges, and they were going to have to go through fears and everything, because everybody knows when you face a fear or you get through it, like, instead of being, like you said earlier in your life, where you would have been a victim, like, oh, well, instead it's like, wait a minute, maybe the universe wants me to get a different job for some reason. you know Maybe I've
Mhm.
outgrown that. Maybe I've outgrown that relationship. Maybe all my work's done in that relationship and I haven't paid attention to that, so now the universe is kicking me out, that just giving me a pink slip, said move on. So
Mhm.
um, that's one thing to consider too. Think about you people watching out there, when you come to a big roadblock, that a roadblock sometimes is not so much a roadblock, but it's there so that you don't go that way anymore. It's blocking that road because it wants you to go veer off to the left or off to the right and go in another direction.
Teacher time. Time to see different, see
Roadblock,
something else. Yeah,
roadblock
exactly.
becomes
Roadblock.
opportunity.
Exactly, exactly. Because I know that for me, that I've had to really work with my fears. I came into this life with, fear of being poisoned, because so my diet really was pretty limited. If it didn't smell right, taste right, or look right, and it didn't go down my throat, I was very shy, quiet, and so me being in a group of people was very fearful. I was very insecure about my life and things like that. And the more that we stand in that, oh, what do I want to call, journey of who we are, our old self wants to keep popping up, and it keeps wanting to minimalize us. And that's the thing is that, through my actions, with the even the show not wanting to act right this morning, right, at the beginning, that there was a part of me that said, should we just not do it today and just say cancel and do it tomorrow?" And it's like, no, there's always a way. Even if it's not the way that we're used to, not always the way that we need to, but there's always a way. And then Facebook, all of a sudden showing that we're live, it shows that things don't stay the same. What we fear at that moment, what we're not willing to walk through at that moment, sometimes can change. And so sometimes, if we can just stop for a minute, turn around, look the other way, and then look back, it's like, oh, it looks different now, type of thing. So,
Yeah, I there's a technique that I can give people here that works really well, and it's in a way, it's how to manifest your future, or in other words, manifest to get you through the change, and it works really, really well. And uh, what it does is this exercise is really pretty simple. Is people close their eyes, and they're going to imagine that they can see in front of them three screens. The one on the right over here is their current problem. So they can just visualize, okay, here they're looking at the pink slip and they're feeling those feelings. That's the problem. Okay. Now, what they do is they just move their eyes up just about 10%, just a little bit up towards the eyebrows, and then go over to the second screen. Okay, just it's right next to the other one. On the second screen, they visualize and they see themselves mailing out resumes. They see themselves talking on the phone, talking to friends, relatives, and everything about uh, gathering all the information they knew to get a job. So they're watching themselves on a screen, like having a movie of themselves, and just seeing them do something, seeing them moving forward, seeing them feeling better, and then they go just a little bit to the left of that, and the third screen on their mind is they see themselves in the new job. They're happy. They're happier than ever. They're so happy that they went through this and did this thing. And when they look back, they're going, "Gosh, I'm so glad that I was able to get through this." It's a technique been used in this. It comes from the Silva method, which about 1 million people have gone through.
mhm.
It helps people to manifest, like the secret, kind of thing like that. So and it's a way of you seeing the problem and then seeing the solution, where you're going through doing the solution, and then putting yourself and feeling in that last screen, feeling all great that it's all done and you got there. It starts your mind in motion to start, doing what you have to do. And even just doing that exercise will take a lot of fear away, because you're moving, even doing this 3 screen technique, you're moving forward, you know,
Mhm.
it's like, doing it. So I know that's a good, and Patty uses that a lot, and it really relaxes her because she's got so much going on right now, you know,
Mhm.
and it helps her to get through it. So anyway, glad
And
to
like Bev, you said that I have an innate fear of snakes and rats. You know, that's where, those kinds of things, if you look at those kinds of fears, now for me, I have an understanding that a lot of those fears can stem from past lives.
Mhm.
And, because many of us had past lives, and then Bev, this, I'm not going to label you necessarily, but, a lot of us had past lives where we lived in England where we had rats crawling all over us when we were sleeping, you know,
Yeah,
or we ended up having to be thrown in a pit with rats and eaten, and then and the snakes are the same thing, that maybe we fell down in a cave and there was snakes in there, and then we were attacked by snakes in a past life, and then we may have a cousin or a sister or a brother or somebody who chases us with a snake, in this lifetime
yeah,
and reinitiates it. So with that there is some logistic things about that. Now, if you wanted to negotiate that and have that fear come down a notch or two, doing the technique like Regan said, when you desensitize yourself to it, seeing pictures and making sure that you do the desensitizing scenarios, like picturing let's say not necessarily both of them, but just let's say whatever's the least one. So if you have less of a fear of rats than you do of snakes, put the pictures of your mind with you with rats, and then picture you standing in the same room as rats, if that's as close as you can get, and then picture the rats walking out and you're still breathing,
yeah,
and then the next one, picture you stepping one step closer to the rats in the room, and then them leaving and you're safe. So you have the 3 scenarios where you're safe, the rats come in, and then they leave and you're safe, and you kind of desensitize yourself to that energetically and normal, and then if you want to find out a past life, go to find out, what your past lives were. And then that kind of gives you a logistic. Oh, I was attacked so many times. Okay, that, like me being poisoned so many times, I'm not going to be poisoned this lifetime. It's one of those things that if we can manage those dances of fears and put them kind of in a box to where they're not in control, because fear likes to control us. And that's why I say this mantra this week is I'm asking fear to step aside. Step aside, let it be a partner, let it be something that can support us instead of being in control so we can't see
yeah.
around the fear, to where we want to go.
Well, a lot of things with snakes and rats, how they've been portrayed in our society through all movies, through everything. Even when you're a kid, we're programmed to be afraid of them, uh, and so a lot of it could even be from this lifetime, but it could be from another lifetime. Who was that did the question? Had the question? What was his name?
Bev.
Oh, it was Beth.
Bev.
Oh, Bev. Okay, Bev. If you go to my website, visit the afterlife. Yeah, see, it's an irrational fear, because normal fear could be okay, but irrational fear is what, we have it. I wrote a book called Phobias Gone in 1 Hour. It's on, you can get it on Amazon or whatever, but if you want a free ebook copy of it, if you go to my website, visit the Afterlife, on the contact page, just say, hey, this is Bev from the podcast, and send me a free book and I'll send you a free ebook copy of it. And it teaches you how to do the EFT. There's a video actually on YouTube. You might find it if you go EFT, afraid of rats. You might be able to find it on there. There's a woman that's so afraid of rats that, like, if she had a rat in her house, she would get a motel somewhere and stay there for a few days until she had a person come in to get rid of the rats, and she'd even be scared to go home. I mean, that's how irrational it was. It was really crazy for her. She gets up on stage, and they did the tapping, the EFT. It's like, even though I'm afraid of rats, irrational afraid of rats, I love and accept myself. Even though even though I'm afraid they're going to eat me or kill me, or they're gross, or I'm going to get disease, or whatever it is, I love and accept myself. She did that for about 2 or 3 minutes on stage. They brought a cage out and had a rat in it, and she was able to reach in and pet it. And they see that. It just sometimes with my clients and everything, they can get rid of fears and phobias that quick. Before that, we used hypnosis, and we did just what Natasha was saying, where we desensitized them little by little. Someone's in a deep state of hypnosis. We, like say, spiders. We have them imagine that way on the other across of the room, they see one that comes in the door, and it's really tiny on the wall. And we tell them in hypnosis that when they start feeling fear, that their hand will shake. So in hypnosis, and then the spider gets a little closer and a little closer and a little bigger. And as soon as they start to go like that, then as hypnotherapists, we have them relax, and we take them deeper and get back down till they feel really relaxed. And we just over a period of 2 or 3 sessions, it gets closer and closer to them. And that was a way of getting rid of that, just like you said, desensitizing your mind to it. But EFT, oh my gosh, I've had so many people with so many things over the years afraid of one man was afraid of ketchup. I think I told the story one time before. This was a CSI guy. He's on scenes all the time. When he said he had a fear of ketchup, like if someone threw a packet of ketchup at him, he would go into a panic attack. His girlfriend is the one that got a hold of me, because she says, we're getting married. I can't stand this. He makes me go into a restaurant and make sure there's no ketchup on the table, or he won't go in. And if she sneaks and has ketchup on her fries or something, he won't touch her or kiss her for like a couple of weeks. I mean, it's just horrible. We couldn't figure out. This is the thing. I mean, maybe it was a past life or something, but we don't know where it came from. But EFT in about 20 minutes took this fear away. And I saw him 3 years later, and he said, Regan, that 20 minutes you had was the coolest thing ever, because I've never been afraid of. He said, I still won't eat it, but I don't have panic attacks, or my girlfriend can.
Yeah, that's dealing. He had it dealing with something that happened in childhood.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily that it was ketchup, but it came out as ketchup.
Oh, see,
I know what I mean? So something else happened, but his mind attached to ketchup to deal with that fear. And so there was something else that happened. So if he went deeper to find out what actually happened, it wasn't ketchup, but the ketchup was the metaphor for the brain to attach to, so it could process through what was actually happening.
Yeah, if I had had time with him, 'cause this was all done in a restaurant where I was entertaining, and I was entertaining as a handwriting analyst, and they saw that I was a therapist, and his girlfriend took me aside and says, "Hey, can you do
You got to help me, please. You got to help me."
it.
That's the thing is that the willingness to negotiate through some of these scenarios that our life stops. It literally stops because of these things, and that willingness to say, you know what, there's something on the other side of that. There's something on the other side of that. And like I was listening to someone the other day, and she said, are you afraid of success, or are you afraid of failure? And some of us are afraid of being successful, so we'll sabotage ourselves because of these fears.
Very common.
And that's one thing that I want to make sure that I don't do, is like me saying, oh, we'll just do it tomorrow. Well, that innate not wanting to push through it is part of the universe saying, are you really sure you want to be successful? And to me, successful, I'm almost there. It's not like I want to be totally on places and do things. It's more about being acknowledged and helping people, and getting more out there and being more visible, showing me that I am helping more people, right? And so with that me showing that I'm willing to push through, the universe is saying, okay, we have your back now, let's keep going. But if I'm sitting here going, I'll just do it, but then again, if I felt intuitively that no, this is not the right time, but we have it set up, so why not try, even if it is 15 minutes late,
Yeah. Oh,
type of
and
thing.
Bev, go to my site, visit theafterlife.com, click on the tab that says hypnosis and EFT. And there's 2 videos on there. One's about 8 minutes, one's about 15. But the first one that's 8 minutes is good enough. If you watch it, it's going to sound like an infomercial, like it sounds too good to be true, but it's not, because we have about a 90% something success rate with getting rid of fears or phobias generally in one session. Sometimes I've had a few taken 2 or 3, but generally it's so you don't have to be, I mean, some people don't need to get rid of them because how often are they around rats or snakes, but if it's something that's occurring in your life and is disrupting it enough, why not get rid of it and take an hour and get rid of it? The thing that's as good with EFT is once it goes away, with all my clients across the board, it doesn't ever come back again, So,
That's how quick, that's how the brain holds on to things.
yeah,
Yet when when the timing is right to let go of. And Bev, it's okay if she says thank you, by the way. That it's not necessarily that it's wrong. For me, I will not use a garbage disposal. I don't even like being in the same room as a garbage disposal running. And then we have a tree that we took down, and I'm going to need to get a chipper, which is a big garbage disposal, right?
yes,
And it's mainly because I've been chewed up and munched up, and I've seen things. I don't know. But I'm
yeah,
going to step into my fear, and I'm not going to run the chipper. I
yeah,
may try to, but I'm going to be able to stand at least next to it so that I'm not.
good,
Who's controlling who is the question I have. Is my fear controlling me, or my my because I know that garbage disposals and chippers and stuff, there's a logistic fear that should be there. Eh, but acknowledgement of honoring it and that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
at the same time, though, you know, logistically pushing past that and the willingness to be in the same area. Now, if I would need to wear earplugs just because it's that
it's very loud.
noise, that at the same time I will just do that to support my willingness to step halfway to fear in that scenario,
Yeah,
because garbage disposal, it triggers a huge thing in me.
something.
And I have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
I've
So it's like this as as you're getting close to the chipper, it's like, okay, even though I don't know why, maybe it's past life, I'm afraid of this chipper.
I know exactly why
I
I'm
know,
afraid of the
yeah,
chipper.
even
I
though
know exactly.
I got chopped up in a past lifetime, it's okay. It's not happening now. You just think that was another lifetime, and I don't have to worry about that now. I can let it go.
Yo,
You
I
know,
can let
and
it
then
go.
because especially with the garbage disposal, because that's a practical thing. That's something that could bother you every day, when somebody's doing that or
I
something.
don't have one in my house.
Yeah. Oh, you don't?
I don't
Okay.
have one in my house.
Ah. Well, next episode we do next week. Tell me, we had a chipper here this week, and they had, in our back lot by the
Hmm.
creek there, the county said that we had 6 dead trees and they had to come down. So they were here for 4 days. They took all those trees down, chopped them all up, and then they went to a lot of our other trees and trimmed them and everything. It was like $6,000, just to have it all done. Like, ouch, but it had to be done. But boy, those things are noisy.
They are. They are. No, this one's not
Like,
going to be a huge
a
one. It's
lot
going to be
more
a
than a
small one.
garbage disposal. So if you can handle a chipper, you can handle a garbage disposal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, but so we'll go on with that story.
but
But it's that willingness. I'm willing to work through it and support it and move through it, because there again I ask the question, who is controlling who?
yeah,
And if we can do that, there's the stories of our life, and there's the stories of who we are, and then there's the stories of what's going on. And there's so much that the universe of love is offering to us right now.
yeah,
The doorways are huge that we have opportunities for. The thing is, though, if we step into fear, we're not going to take a hold of what the universe is offering us. Just like that person who was saying that, and I'll actually have to send her an email because I just got this message for her. That, that taking that interview, you never know if there was another job in that same place that they said, you know what, another job just opened up, and I think you'd be great for it, even though this one you're not.
Yeah.
So you never know what the dot to dot is that the universe wants to give us. So be willing to negotiate the dance of what the universe is offering us.
Yeah.
Like me taking down the tree. Now there's a whole bunch more light,
Oh,
and
gosh,
there's
my backyard has so much more light like I've never experienced before.
exactly, and other trees can say, I have light now,
Yeah.
and so there's that dance. But we're coming down to the last little bit, and I have something that I got to do shortly after this. But
Okay.
if Regan, I pulled a card the other day for my gentle giants, gentle creatures,
Yeah.
and these guys, this card just set for this message of this show. May I read it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the card I got, and it's so cute.
Road trip.
Road trip. And I love the message because you see there's a bird on the front, and then there's two creatures that are pretty tight
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
in there. It's very cute. It almost reminds me of the Flintstones car, It's like, how
Yeah.
there's a motor.
Yeah.
But there's a little car. Okay, so road trip. With the wind in their hair, a cozy couple sets off on a road trip to somewhere. Life taking us somewhere. They haven't decided where they want to go because they know their happy hearts that destination isn't as important as the company. In this case, their small winged friend who has been invited along gets determined which way the wind will blow them. He isn't a navigator so much as the instigator.
The bird?
I love that. That sentence right there I'll come back to later. He isn't the navigator so much as an instigator. All three are traveling light with no maps and no expectations. They are taking their time so they don't miss anything. They are ready for everything. Where will their adventure's heart take them next? Who will ride beside you? Take these lessons from the gentle creatures to heart. Remember that you can choose the direction and let the direction choose you, or let the direction choose you. The same goes for those who travel with you. Sometimes you want a tired and true friend along for the grand adventure. Tried and true friend along for the grand adventure. Other times it's exciting to find courage and to venture out alone and trust the winds of fate to invite you and acquaintances to join you along your journey. But that's the thing that I wanted to kind of go back to is that he isn't the navigator, he's the instigator. The universe instigates us to do things. Are we willing to have the no expectations behind it? Are we willing to see what's behind that closed door? Even if it is the fear of snakes and spiders and rats and shippers and garbage disposals and going across the borders or whatever it is, we don't know what that journey is going to take us.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of life is that the door is really open for us, but it's us who stops us walking through the door.
Yep. We got to go through the door.
Because the universe is just instigators. They're instigating us to look at it.
Yeah, my life's had about 20 or 30 huge, going down the road, and all of a sudden I got to go veer off to the left and then to the right and the left and the right. I mean, and then when I finally got to where I am now, I can see why all that happened. But luckily I had a spiritual base since I was in my 20s, so I was willing to follow this inner guidance, or this
Mhm.
divine inner guidance that I at least perceived as that, which turned out to be true later on with so many confirmations of miracles and things that would happen when I'd go, oh, I just know I'm supposed to go through this door, like get on that, like that bird is saying, get on board, and here we go, and just be willing, yeah,
And
willing to
that
see where it goes.
exactly. The instigator, because I know for me, even, my job ending at school, in the position I was in, which was a full day, the universe was instigating me to get another position so that I can be done with work earlier and to have this adventure that I have with my business.
Yeah,
And so, with that if I would have stayed in that old position, I would have been stuck in school. I would have been stuck in those hours. I couldn't have quit, or I couldn't have shifted my hours as well. And
yeah.
so, with the instigation of life is so amazing. And that card is staying open for me because that's going to be
Cool
my
card.
theme.
Like
Isn't
who
that a cool card?
you could paint that even and have that imagination. See?
I know. These gentle creatures are, when I found this deck this summer, I found it right before I came to you,
Yeah,
and my girlfriend says, "You know what? These cards are so you. These cards are so you." They're just so cute. I love these cards. They're just so like
that's
they're
beautiful.
just they're just amazing. They're just amazing.
It's
So with that,
nice that somebody's figured out these things because some people think it's crazy, like uh, tarot cards, or some people think it's crazy what some people do when they have a question for God and they use the Bible and they just thumb and wherever they put their fingers, the answer to their issue. And I realized that because everything is now and everything that we want to know and everything is kind of all on the you could put it on the end of a needle, a little speck, and everything is there, and so it doesn't matter where your finger goes, that you'll be able to find some correlation between that and your issue, probably, that'll help you to get through that, so I know some Christians used to do that, says, well, Lord, and they'll just get the Bible open and then they'll read that and they'll go, wow, there's my answer, so,
mhm,
you know,
exactly. That's why I always say you got to give time. You got to give the universe a chance to figure this out.
yeah,
There's people who, my friend doesn't like me right now. Well, let's see through that. Let's make sure that what our perception is right now isn't necessarily what's really happening. So let's move through this. Let's get this moment moving through so that we can be our greater selves. Let's move through so that we can be who we need to be.
yeah, face those fears. So hypnosis will work for you guys. EFT will work. Have a session with Natasha. She can give you maybe some answers to the why you're going through some of the stuff. If I help you with a life between lives thing and deep hypnosis, and you go to heaven and back, or the other side, whatever you call it, and you can get the answers to a lot of your questions of why you're going through something, which means you still have to go through it, but you'll know why. And that,
And sometimes it's our perception. Shift our perception. That's why I love feng shui. Shift our perception, shift our environment, change our world. And it's amazing how those little stories can really help us.
yeah,
Can really help us. So with that today was a kind of a roller coaster ride.
yeah, it's a little
I
strange.
It was a roller coaster ride from the minute that I woke up this morning, and then now it's the roller coaster ride um to being here at the end of at 5 o'clock for our show. So blessings to all, and remember that being human is part of this dance. And so how can we help our humanness get through what's in front of us? And it's that willingness, the willingness to look a little bit different at what is truly happening. Is
Yeah,
it a logistic fear? Is it not a fear? What is stopping us from being our successful selves? And I'm going to say our success could be I'm getting to the grocery store today. I'm not talking about success as being on stage or anything like that. Success is about how do you feel about your moments in your life. And if you feel like that you're being successful, good for you. But be willing to shift just a little bit, because the universe is saying it's time for us to be our inner light, our inner love,
Yeah.
and be willing.
Oh, a movie that's coming out right now that's about it's kind of a comedy drama, which we saw at the Mill Valley Film Festival. It's got Adam Driver in it, and it's uh, it's about fear and what it causes people to do. And it's very, very funny. It's really odd film called White Noise, and it's coming out pretty soon. And we just saw 14 movies in the last 11 days,
Oh, wow.
and they were all really, really good. There's a lot of good, a lot of real heavy ones, but a lot of good ones. But that was a fun one to watch because it was kind of an oddball, different kind of a,
Mhm.
but it's just about, it just basically there's a toxic cloud in the sky, and everybody has to decide, with their fear, of how to outrun the cloud, or what's going to happen if they breathe in some of these chemicals and everything. And there's some very funny moments in it, and it's a lot of good laughs in it. It was pretty good. It's called White Noise. It'll be coming out here pretty soon.
Well, that could be a great metaphor. Are we fearful of taking on what the universe is giving us, what the governments are giving us, what
Yeah.
other people are giving us? It's a great metaphor. Great metaphor.
Yeah.
So, Regan, how do people get a hold of you?
At visittheafterlife.com. Great videos on there. Anybody watching this now or in the future, if you just say you watch the show, I'll send you a free ebook version of my book called Reincarnation is Real. It's the latest book I wrote, and it's about all the current research and proof that's being done on reincarnation. And also, if you want to have a life between life session or I'm a regular hypnotherapist too. I have regular clients that come to me that think the spiritual stuff is a little too far out there for them, which is okay. Everybody's taking their, at their own where they're supposed to be. But I do a lot of therapy sessions on Zoom, as Natasha does also with her
Mhm.
business. If you're in California, I see people all over Northern California. I make 3 or 4 trips to Southern California a year to see clients down there. A life between life session, 3 or 4 or 5 hour session where you go in deep trance. 70,000 people we've helped go to the afterlife and back. You can see on my website. Sounds crazy, but you can actually see a session going on there too. So anyway, that's how they get a hold of me. What about you, Miss Natasha?
You can get a hold of me at angelicclarifications.com. You can also get a hold of me through Natasha at angelicclarifications.com. I have videos on my YouTube channel, my Facebook, and Instagram, and now our shows are on podcasts. So if you know of somebody who likes to listen to podcasts and they don't do YouTube or any other thing, our podcasts are on. Life Clarifications with Natasha is what it is on, and Regan is wonderfully and so these shows, all shows go on that, even though it's Dance of the Soul, but it was easier to put it under one title on
Yeah.
the podcast. So
Okay.
with that, Life Clarifications with Natasha. So thank you everyone for coming. I am so grateful to be here to bring light to the world, and I know Regan is too. So with that, blessings to all, and see you on Wednesday, because I'm live on Wednesdays at 4 o'clock with Life Clarifications with Natasha, and next Monday with Regan.
Yeah.
So
See you
see
then.
you later. Blessings all.
Bye.